War is shifting fast. 12 new naval warships are about to join the fleet, each built to bend tomorrow's battles in silence, forcing every rival to confront a question that cuts deeper than firepower. At number 12 surges the dangerous silhouette of USS Cleveland, entering like a silent threat poised to strike before its presence is even understood. A Freedom-class littoral combat ship, shaped across 378 feet, accelerates with a ferocity unexpected from a displacement of 3,900 short tons, pulling attention to the tension building near contested coasts. A 57-feet beam supports maneuvers that feel designed for ambush zones where survival demands instant reaction. Unveiled in 2019, the vessel marked a shift toward leaner platforms able to dominate complex littoral terrain. Christened in 2023, the ship moved closer to frontline environments where allies depend on swift interdiction. A cost of $589 million emphasizes how modern naval power now pays a premium for agility, precision. Mission module flexibility stands out as one of its defining advantages, allowing rapid adaptation before engagements begin. Shallow draft engineering opens access to waters inaccessible to larger combatants, giving commanders rare tactical reach. Picture a moonless night as the ship races between jagged inlets, while a hostile fast attack craft attempts to vanish into darkness. What navy would willingly face an opponent capable of hunting that deep inside the shoreline labyrinth? Sensors tuned for near-shore distortion reveal hostile signatures hidden by clutter. High-speed turns give crews the confidence to pursue threats that rely on confined geometry for protection. Weapon positions are arranged for clean firing angles in unstable coastal terrain. Modular compartments convert quickly for missions, shifting from mine removal to surface strike. A secure communications suite maintains cohesion with distant units, despite jamming pulses washing over the coastline. Crews train for split-second coordination, knowing coastal warfare punishes hesitation. Structural resilience absorbs the strain of aggressive maneuvering in shallow water corridors. Littoral flexibility grants leverage where political lines blur and maritime borders ignite tension. Reactions measured in seconds determine who controls narrow waterways crucial to regional stability. Presence near hostile shores serves as deterrence when diplomacy falters. Endurance across prolonged patrols reinforces naval influence during geopolitical standoffs. Future conflicts shaped by choke points may hinge on ships engineered for this unpredictable frontier. And to escalate the stakes, a rehook surges here. Deeper in the ranking waits a vessel that carries not just speed, but the force to reshape entire coastlines. And that next warship enters the stage with enough mass to turn a landing zone into a full theater of operations. Taking the 11th slot, the immense USS Harrisburg arrives like a moving storm front, carrying the weight of an entire campaign toward hostile shores. A San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock, in its Flight 3 evolution, stretches 684 feet, projecting escalation before its well deck even opens. A displacement of 24,900 long tons supports broad operational endurance across volatile maritime regions. The 105-feet beam forms the backbone for aircraft handling, landing, craft movement, and armor deployment. Unveiled in 2022, the vessel emerged as a response to rising tensions in regions where amphibious access decides control. Christened in 2025, the ship neared operational service with the gravity of upcoming geopolitical flashpoints, requiring persistent maritime pressure. A cost of $1.47 billion underscores the immense logistics required for an expeditionary warfare. Well-deck architecture releases hovercraft and assault vehicles with forceful momentum. Aviation facilities push air operations deeper inland before enemy defenses react. Picture a pre-dawn assault as LCAC hovercraft roar from the well deck toward a fortified shoreline, their silhouettes barely visible in rising mist. What adversary can maintain confidence as an entire invasion wave forms behind that opening gate? Command centers on board coordinate multi-layered landings with synchronized precision. Medical spaces steady the chaos of early ground contact. Cargo holds deliver armored breakthroughs essential for establishing footholds. Endurance capabilities allow the ship to remain at contested beaches without immediate support. Communication networks sustain control even when electromagnetic pressure surges across the coastline. Reinforced hull design withstands indirect fire and chaotic sea states. Amphibious lift transforms distant oceans into pathways for power projection. Sensor arrays track threats emerging near choke points or shifting sandbars. Aviation groups extend the ship's reach beyond visual range. debarkation systems rapidly transition troops from sea to shore. Operational flexibility adapts to humanitarian missions as readily as high-intensity conflict. And here arrives the rehook. Forces delivered by this ship can ignite a turning point in any regional confrontation. Strategic mobility redefines how far and how fast military influence can arrive. And still, the following vessel sharpens that expeditionary architecture with newer expectations and elevated tactical purpose. Sliding into 10th place, the massive USS Pittsburgh enters like a steel tide forming at the edge of contested territory. A San Antonio-class flight, 2 amphibious transport dock, measuring 684 feet, shapes the vessel into a launch pad for decisive amphibious action. A displacement of 24,900 long tons anchors troop movement and armored transport in volatile coastal regions. The 105 feet beam creates crucial volume for air operations and landing force coordination. Unveiled in 2023, the ship reflected warfighting changes driven by shifting global tensions. A christening date awaits, adding anticipation to a hull preparing for active theater responsibilities. An estimated cost of $1.67 billion symbolizes expanding mission demands across joint force environments. Next generation landing craft integration enhances precision insertion across difficult shorelines. Aviation capacity boosts reach during multi-layered assault planning. Picture a crisis where helicopters lift off, carrying supplies and soldiers toward a region fractured by conflict and natural disaster. How many modern ships can pivot from combat readiness to humanitarian relief without losing momentum? Digital frameworks fuse data from land, air, and sea elements into a unified command perspective. Cargo compartments support armored pushes critical during initial land seizure. Troop spaces transform the ship into an operational hub. Structural engineering endures prolonged activity away from friendly ports. Sensor systems, redshifting patterns in coastal waters for early threat detection. Reliability across long deployments stabilizes mission tempo. Command areas oversee synchronized movements between landing elements. Adaptability keeps the vessel relevant through decades of strategic evolution. Reinforcement against harsh conditions maintains performance during intense operations. Range capabilities allow repositioning across entire theaters within narrow timeframes. Mission flexibility serves as insurance against unpredictable global crises. And the rehook strikes here. Amphibious dominance begins with ships that can change the fate of entire shorelines. The strategic weight of this vessel shapes how conflicts open and how victory gains its first foothold. And yet, the next destroyer abandons bulk for the sharp precision of a frontline hunter. Arriving at 9th place, the formidable USS Harvey C. Barnum Jr. enters like a blade drawn before a strike. An Arleigh Burke-class Flight II-IA destroyer, spanning 509 feet, delivers velocity and lethality across open waters. A displacement of 9,200 long tons balances maneuverability with missile endurance, while the 66 feet beam stabilizes weapons and radar. Unveiled in 2021 and christened in 2023, the ship advanced toward missions demanding precision under extreme pressure. A cost of $2 billion marks the high price of survival in missile-saturated warfare. Aegis integration provides layered protection against multi-vector threats. Missile cells enable flexible escalation. Picture a hostile missile cutting across the horizon as interceptors launch in a race against disaster. Would any fleet advance without a guardian that reacts faster than danger? Radar arrays carve clarity into chaotic skies. Propulsion surges the ship forward when contested waters demand action. Data fusion links it into broader strike networks. Electronic warfare disrupts hostile sensors. Crew coordination turns complexity into synchronized defense. Navigation precision neutralizes jamming. Command hubs assess threats in seconds. Defensive layers protect high-value assets. Surface engagement tools extend reach. Readiness posture ensures immediate response. Resilience against pressure strengthens deterrence. And the rehook ignites. Ships like this decide whether fleets survive the opening minutes of future conflicts, while the next vessel elevates battlefield, sensing into a new generation. At number 8 rises the colossal USS Bougainville, entering like a moving skyline built to dominate contested seas. An America-class amphibious assault ship stretching 844 feet casts an overwhelming presence. A displacement of 45,000 long tons forms a floating airbase shaping entire regional conflicts, supported by a 106 feet beam sustaining relentless aviation tempo. Unveiled in 2019 and christened in 2023, The vessel advanced into theaters where air power dictates breakthroughs. A cost of $3.4 billion reflects the scale of modern amphibious warfare. Aviation decks coordinate helicopters and advanced aircraft, assault, reconnaissance, and extraction. Picture a dusk assault as aircraft rise from the deck toward a fortified coastline veiled in fog. What opponent maintains composure when a full airborne wave erupts from one ship? Marine deployment transforms political tension into actionable force. Well-deck structure sends craft toward chaotic beaches. Command spaces orchestrate precise troop waves. Troop accommodations support prolonged pushes. Maintenance and fuel stores sustain constant. Aviation. Sensor networks map littoral threats. Structural fortitude withstands fire, weather, and strain. Amphibious versatility enables rapid transition to humanitarian aid. Geopolitical influence intensifies when this ship appears near disputes. Air-wing integration multiplies reach beyond traditional platforms. And the rehook arrives. Vessels this size alter diplomacy before aircraft launch, while the next destroyer refines dominance through detection and precision. At number 7 cuts into view the fierce USS Louis H. Wilson Jr., emerging like a hunter built for an age where milliseconds decide outcomes. A Flight 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyer spanning 509 feet advances with sharpened purpose. A displacement of 9,600 long tons, supports next-generation sensors and weapons, while the 66 feet beam stabilizes high-performance radar. Unveiled in 2023 and christened in 2025, the vessel entered missions shaped by hypersonic tension. A cost of $2.5 billion reflects the premium on top-tier air defense. The AN/SPY-6 radar delivers breakthrough detection across vast ranges. System integration forms a kill chain reacting faster than adversaries. Picture a hostile drone swarm accelerating toward a strike group as the radar marks every target instantly. When adversary closes distance, when exposure equals destruction. Propulsion thrust places the ship where pressure rises. Command centers process data into rapid responses. Electronic warfare disrupts enemy tracking. Decisions compress into seconds. Endurance withstands modern tempo. Battle networks link the destroyer across theaters. Missile defense shields high-value groups. Strike options target distant threats. Geopolitical weight grows in contested waters. And the rehook tightens. Ships like this decide who survives the first minutes of naval war, while the next destroyer advances timing and tactical depth. At number 6 emerges the focused USS Jacob E. Decker, appearing like a calculated answer to rising long-range precision threats. A Flight 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, stretching 509 feet, prepares for evolving missile-era conflict. A displacement of 9,600 long tons, supports multi-domain operations with resilience. The 66 feet beam steadies the SPY-6 radar, essential for long-range clarity. Expected unveiling in 2025 hints at its arrival amid accelerating naval competition. Absence of a christening date adds anticipation to its growing readiness. And estimated cost of $2.5 billion underscores high-end defense complexity. The SPY-6 system expands detection reach across crowded threat zones. Picture a reconnaissance aircraft testing boundaries until radar locks and a missile erupts skyward. How long can rivals gamble when evasion becomes nearly impossible? Propulsion enables rapid shifts during tense engagements. Command systems turn data into instant action. Electronic countermeasures disrupt enemy surveillance attempts. Weapon options deliver precision in offensive and defensive roles. Readiness frameworks support operations even under saturation threats. The ship's presence forces adversaries to rethink contested water strategy. And here the rehook strikes. Destroyers like this erase uncertainty before conflict begins. The next vessel builds on these instincts with more hardened reliability. At number 5 arrives the relentless USS Jeremiah Denton, moving like a seasoned guardian forged for storms still unseen. A Flight 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyer measuring 509 feet sharpens threat interpretation at high speed. A displacement of 9,600 long tons supports extended wartime tempo. The 66 feet beam reinforces radar stability under pressure. Unveiled in 2022, it entered an era shaped by precise missile threats. Christened in 2025, its readiness aligned with rising global tensions. A cost of $2 billion signals the price of superior protection. The SPY-6 radar delivers sweeping visibility across incoming threats. Picture a stealth missile piercing clouds as the destroyer fires a lethal intercept. What fleet dares operate without such timing? Propulsion sustains high-speed maneuvers during crisis. Command systems compress targeting decisions. Electronic warfare breaks hostile guidance attempts. Operational resilience supports long missions far from safe ports. Geopolitical leverage grows when vessels like this escort valuable forces. And here the rehook lands. Ships like this determine survival in the first strike phases of future wars. The next vessel intensifies these qualities with sharper engineering. At number 4 surges the sharpened USS Ted Stevens, entering like a blade built for the world's most advanced missile threats. A Flight 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyer stretching 509 feet marks the turn towards sensor-first warfare. A displacement of 9,600 long tons anchors its defensive architecture. The 66-feet beam stabilizes SPY-6 radar during demanding engagements. Unveiled in 2022, the ship marked a rise in maritime readiness. Christened in 2023, it moved closer to hypersonic-era missions. A cost of $2 billion reflects escalating defense requirements. The SPY-6 array gives expanded tracking over dense threat environments. Picture a hostile projectile slicing clouds before the destroyer reacts instantly. What Navy advances without Guardians capable of that speed? Propulsion positions the ship where danger builds. Command systems accelerate targeting under pressure. Electronic warfare counters persistent attempts to blind sensors. Presence in choke points reshapes rival calculations. And here the rehook titans, destroyers like this, decide survival during opening volleys. The next vessel takes this tension underwater, where silence becomes the weapon. At number 3 rises the stealth-shaped USS Arkansas, slipping in like a shadow engineered to rewrite undersea warfare. A Virginia-class Block 4 attack submarine stretching 377 feet dominates the silent domain. A displacement of 7,800 long tons conceals lethal reach beneath calm water. The 34-feet beam supports systems optimized for covert maneuver. Unveiled in 2022, it refined undersea strike flexibility. Christened in 2024, it prepared for deep infiltration and long surveillance. A cost of $2.8 billion reflects rising undersea complexity. Virginia-class design supports intelligence, precision strike, and special operations. Picture a nighttime advance beneath a rival fleet until a launch changes the entire theater. How does any nation counter what it cannot detect? Propulsion tuned for quiet cruising defeats sonar sweeps. Command systems manage extended missions in contested waters. And here, the rehook rises. Submarines like this collapse enemy strategy without surfacing. The next one expands these instincts with broader operational reach. At number 2 emerges the covert USS Idaho, entering like a silent calculation, shifting balance before conflict. A Virginia-class Block 4 attack submarine spanning 377 feet embodies precise undersea dominance. A displacement of 7,800 long tons supports acoustic advantage systems. The 34 feet beam houses structures tuned for stealth. Unveiled in 2020, it expanded deep water reach. Christened in 2024, it advanced toward long-range competition. An estimated cost of $2.6 billion signals the price of underwater supremacy. Picture a patrol tracking enemy groups long before they sense anything. What? Commander rests knowing such a submarine may be near. Propulsion minimizes noise across multiple profiles. Command systems switch instantly from surveillance to strike. Geopolitical leverage expands near rival coastlines. And here the rehook titans, submarines like this decide conflicts before the first missile appears. The final vessel carries these strengths to their peak. At number 1 arrives the formidable USS Massachusetts, entering like the silent edge of a forming storm. A Virginia-class Block 4 submarine stretching 377 feet stands at the top of modern undersea warfare. A displacement of 7,800 long tons conceals sophisticated systems beneath still water. The 34-feet beam supports sensors arranged for stealth. Unveiled in 2020, it advanced acoustic reduction and long-endurance capability. Christened in 2023, it prepared for precision-first missions. A cost of $2.8 billion reflects unmatched complexity. Picture a hidden approach passing enemy sonar before unleashing a decisive strike. What Navy stays confident knowing such a vessel might be below? Propulsion suppresses detectable vibration. Intelligence systems gather data impossible for surface fleets. And here the rehook arrives. Submarines like this define unseen battlefields where wars may be won before they are noticed. The ranking ends, but the silent contest never does. These ships aren't just upgrades, they're warnings of what's coming. Subscribe, like, share, and comment your favorite vessel. And don't miss our video, Top 15 Biggest Naval Corvettes in the World, linked above or in the description.